Welcome back to Texas Rye Whiskey Studies for episode number 33 by Stab the Dragon Productions for our National Rye Tournament, episode number 25. Today is match number 11 between Powers Irish Rye and Lot 40 Canadian Rye. So this is an international match today. Now, coming to you from Fort Worth, Texas on Friday, August 7th, 2026, where it is currently 101 degrees. As a side note, today is also National Lighthouse Day, and lighthouses are maintained by the United States Coast Guard, whose birthday we celebrated earlier this week, August 4th. Today is also National Purple Heart Day, remembering all those members of our armed forces who were wounded and injured in our wars and conflicts. Now, in our National Rye Tournament, we had to have a supplemental round because I found two more ryes that were supposed to be in the tournament, but due to a glitch in my memory, they got left out. And those two whiskeys were 10th Mountain Rye out of Vail, Colorado, and the Powers Irish Rye. So we had to have another round, and so this is now going to be the second round because Powers beat out 10th Mountain in a blind competition. Now, it ends up that I'm giving Lot 40 a second chance because I had an uneven number of competitors now. Lot 40 lost its first round to another competitor. Who was it? I don't remember who they competed against. Somebody. And they lost. Corsair Dark Rye. So I'm getting Lot 40 a second chance. And that's fine. Lot 40 is a beautiful rye whiskey. All right, so what are my rules in these contests? I judge the whiskeys in all the same ways that I evaluate them with the individual reviews. History, bottle, label, marketing, composition, appearance, price, value, availability, flexibility. But the deciding factor really is consuming the whiskey. So nose, taste, mouthfeel, burn, and finish. In short, if I was offered these two whiskeys 5 nights in a row, and I could only choose one, which one would I drink at least 3 nights out of the 5? So it's all about drinkability. Now, in case of a tie, the price, value, and availability will decide the winner. And to make it all fair, I use blacked out glasses here. And there's a number on the bottom. Glass number 1 is going to be the Lot 40. Glass number 2 is the Powers. And the victor sometimes gets a cocktail at the end. So, to the contest. When it comes to history, Lot 40 goes back at least to 2012, and I think it had some earlier releases before that. Powers Rye came out in 2023. Now, the Powers lineage goes all the way back to 1791. But here I'm going to side with Lot 40 because I think the history of the actual whiskey matters. And so Lot 40 for the win of history. Bottle, label, and marketing. All right, I'm not a fan of either of these bottles. You've got kind of a fire plug looking bottle with the Powers and a tall, skinny, straight one there with the Lot 40. So the bottles don't impress me. However, the labels on both are really pretty cool. Powers, you have a very dramatic, bold, rye-looking label, right? I like the touch of green that both of these have. Lot 40 goes for the Johnny Walker approach with the slanted label, right? But what pushes me to say Lot 40 is the winner in bottle, label, and marketing, if you look closely on there, you can see some etching on the glass. That's a diagram of their distilling process or their distillery. And then they actually put kind of a table of contents there as well. And now the label covers up a lot of that, but still, that's really pretty cool. I like that. So Lot 40 wins the bottle and label. Marketing-wise, when Powers came out, it made kind of a splash in the whiskey world and then kind of disappeared. Lot 40 is still available. Okay. Lot 40 has been talked about a lot over the years. That's how word of mouth, that's how I became familiar with it. So I think even for marketing, the Lot 40 is going to carry the day. So bottle label and marketing, Lot 40 for the win. When you talk about appearance of whiskeys, hold these up and you can see the Lot 40 is substantially darker. And I go for darker whiskeys for whatever reason. So appearance, it's Lot 40 for the win. So this is going in a certain direction, you can see. Composition, the Powers and Lot 40 both are 100% rye. So the mash bill is going to be about the same. And they're similarly aged for over 3 years. They both have a legal requirement to be 3 years old. And so where's going to be the difference? Powers, one of the reasons why it's lighter, it is aged in second and third use American casks, whereas the Lot 40 is aged in virgin oak. And so there you go. I mean, that's where you get the darker whiskeys from. Proof, Powers has a 0.2% ABV advantage because this is a 86.4 proof, whereas this one's just 86. So a very slight proof advantage. I'm going to go with the barrel advantage and again choose Lot 40 for the composition. Those virgin casks really do help. Flexibility and availability, or flexibility and versatility. Both of these are outstanding whiskeys neat. I prefer both of them neat. Both do make great old fashions. I made great old fashions with both whiskeys. And so they're both very different though. And so I'm going to say a tie on the flexibility, versatility. No, but nobody's got the advantage there. I think both have enough flavor to where if you wanted to put these on ice, they would hold up. So price, value, and availability. Here's where the rubber meets the road, so to speak. The Powers, slightly more expensive. This was about $38, whereas the Lot 40 was, closer to $35. So Powers a little bit more expensive. What about value? I'm going to say they're of equal value. I'm not going to begrudge $3 or $4 difference here. They're both fine whiskeys. Availability, though, is the problem. I can't find Powers in Fort Worth anymore. Lot 40, I can get at one store. So neither has great availability, but Lot 40 is available to me. Powers, I can't find. So there you go. Lot 40 for the win for price, value, and availability. So that's a pretty lopsided win there with all those technical details going to Lot 40. So let's get to the actual whiskey. Now, I've got these blacked out glasses. The Lot 40 is in glass number 1. You'll be able to see the numbers on the bottom when I drink it. Powers is glass number 2. I'm going to start nosing these left to right. Got a whiskey smell going on there. If I didn't know it was a rye, I don't think I'd be able to tell. So the nose is not super strong. A little bit sweet. Maybe fruity. That's about it. Glass on the right. Maybe a little bit less of a nose, which is not unusual. When I do these, more often, the first nose wins the nose. Very faint nose. So I'm going to say the one on the left has the stronger nose. Now the one on the right, just not getting much out of. So that means the left wins the nose, but that also means I start with the weaker nose for sipping. To the Lighthouses and the Coast Guard, and to all those who've earned a Purple Heart. That is a lovely rye. And just guessing off the first sip, I think that's glass number 1, lot 40. Yeah, that's it. That's a lovely rye. The glass on my left that won the nose. Wow. I really don't know which is going to be which. Guessing which is which here is going to be no bueno. I can't do it. This one's a mouthful of pine needles. That is a very rye forward rye. The first one I think had a little bit deeper notes. This one, man, I mean, it's just like scooping up a handful of pine needles. Wow. I'm not sure I can't tell them apart. I mean, the flavors are different, okay? But I don't know either of these super well. I've been through a couple of bottles of Lot 40. So I actually should be very familiar with it. And this is like my third bottle of Lot 40. But I think because they're both 100% rye, that's going to make a difference there. They're just so similar. On my right again. Those notes are just a little bit tamer. Yeah, not quite as bold. Maybe just a little bit darker notes. Which one do I prefer to drink? Okay. I think for my purposes, when I drink a rye, the one on the left accomplishes that better. Very rye forward, very floral pine tree notes. That's a nice bright rye. So I'm going to say the one on the left is the winner. Mouthfeel, burn, and finish are about the same. Okay, taste wise, the one on the left wins. Mouthfeel, burn, and finish. I don't know that I can tell any difference here. Again, they're very similar proof, similar in age, both 100% rye. I'm going to just say the one on the left, the mouthfeel, burn, and finish is going to be a tie. but the taste and the nose on the left make it the winner. So we'll go left for the win. Now, which is which? I have no clue. I really couldn't tell you. I think the one on the left, I'm going to lean towards Powers. So I think it's glass number 2. We'll see. Nope, it is glass number 1, lot 40. There you go. Lot 40 for the win. We have a winner. The one on the right, glass number 2. And despite going through over 2 bottles of this whiskey, I couldn't tell much of a difference. I mean, there's a difference now they taste. I couldn't recognize which is which. So I took a guess and I was wrong. And that's not unusual. So lot 40 is the winner at this level. So they come from behind. I mean, they lost their first match. And so now they get resurrected and come back into the tournament, which is fortunate because, as you can see, the Powers is getting low. And I don't think I'm going to be able to replace that. So, whereas that, see, I had to get a second bottle. I mean, after the last contest, I was out. So I had to get a new bottle. This is my 3rd bottle of lot 40. All right, we've got a winner. Let's see about a cocktail. So stand by. And I'm back. I've made another old-fashioned, but I altered the recipe a little bit. So normally I use Angostura bitters. Today I use Peychaud bitters. And Peychaud bitters add a little bit more color, I think, to the old-fashioned. And instead of using, I most frequently use turbinado sugar cubes. Today I used just some simple syrup. And then I also use some black walnut bitters to try to tamp down on the rye flavor just a little bit. And this is a very rye forward whiskey. And so let's try to bring that into balance some. I've got a couple of small orange peels in there and 1 dark cherry, you can see. And I'm using, I don't think you can see it, but I'm using my Coast Guard glass because it's National Lighthouse Day. So cheers to the Coast Guard again, and cheers to the Purple Heart awardees. Now that's very good. Okay. This is very well balanced. It maintains that rye forward flavor from the whiskey right on the first sip. And then it evolves into a deeper, sweeter note. The black walnut bitters comes through along with the Peychaud bitters. Successfully did not put too much simple syrup in there. I hate it when I get a old-fashioned too sweet. So this has excellent balance. I'm getting just a little bit of the citrus notes from the orange peel. So this orange peel is a little bit different. My wife likes those small oranges. What are they called?
Maybe
Mandarin oranges. Normally I use navel orange peel, and that's very orangey. Okay, the Mandarin oranges tone that down a little bit. So this is very well balanced. All right, that's it for this match between Powers Irish Rye and Lot 40, with Lot 40 winning and advancing in the tournament to the next level. Now, what's coming up? I don't know. I've got a couple of other videos coming on my Stab the Dragon channel. So I may do something. Okay, I've been doing a study of Genesis chapter 14. That may be next. Tomorrow is the anniversary of the raid on King's Ranch back in 1915. It was part of the Mexican Revolution, and there was a couple of cross-border incursions by the Mexicans, and the King's Ranch raid was part of a huge plot. So I don't know, I may do a video on that. So all right, we got a couple of things like that coming up. I'm thinking about going back to my blended Scotch whiskey channel, because it's been 7 months or 8 months since I've done anything there, and I've got a blended Scotch ready to go, Saya. So I've never even opened this bottle, so we'll see what Saya blended Scotch is all about. So that's coming up soon. So that'll mean a pause on the Rye Whiskey Tournament for just a little bit. Balancing the blended Scotch channel with the Texas Rye channel, that's been hard. I tend to go all one way for several months. All right, so this is Texas Rye Whiskey Studies out here.